So yeah, I think it's really important, when it comes to your career and taking any kind of advice or guidance or coaching. I always think it's really important that you know who you're listening to and how they're equipped to help you. So just a little bit of an introduction to myself. So like Kevin said, my name is Angela Burke, originally a Galway woman, but Dublin has me for the last 11 years, and I specialise solely in career coaching. And how I do that, so a little bit about my background. So I have 11 years recruitment and career expertise. So I suppose from working within HR departments across several industries between tech, the big four, financial services, FMCG, and manufacturing, I have a good insight as to exactly what employers are looking for from candidates as they navigate through the job search process. So I suppose I use that blend of, recruitment experience to really help candidates understand, well, how they need to position their CV, how they need to approach the interview in order to, have that highest chance of success in what we're experiencing at the moment, which is a very competitive candidate market. I also have a postgraduate in career development and coaching. So that combined with my recruitment experience, I suppose helps me also help those who are a little unsure what they actually want to do next, whether it's, the graduate starting out afresh, starting their career journey, or maybe someone a little, 3 or 4 years in or 10 years in who are thinking, you know what, I've actually fallen into this career. I'm not particularly enjoying it, and I'd love to see what else I can do, but I'm not really sure how to go about that. Or someone later in life, who wants to change again, or maybe has taken a little bit of time out for maternity leave or a career break or whatever that might be. So it's really support for the full career cycle and using that, that blend of the recruitment experience and insights, but with that very important coaching technique as well, specifically around career development. So that's me. A little bit about, I suppose, my ethos when it comes to career coaching. I suppose, like my name, that very complicated name to say, the integrative coach. What that is all about is, I suppose, my mission is to support you to navigate your career in a way that empowers you to live the life you want, both personally and professionally. Because as much as maybe we might try and leave a bit of our personal life outside of work, and that's absolutely fine. We don't leave a suitcase or a handbag of our full selves outside the office door or the workplace whenever we go in. Our life and our career are very much intertwined. So yeah, I think I really am passionate about helping people to navigate a career that's not only going to allow them to live the life they want professionally, but actually personally also, and making sure that it's in alignment with, their values, their personality, and who they are. Some people often ask, well, how do you go about and do this? So just a quick word on the support that I provide. So obviously I do one-to-one individual consultations, but I also do workshops, which are all online at the moment. And they're very bespoke career workshops, which help you with career clarity. So figuring out what is it I want to do, whether I'm starting out, whether I'm mid-career or later in career, what is that change, or what is that I want to do. Career change then, which is, okay, I have an idea of what I want to do now, but how do I actually secure that job? How do I go through the recruitment process, particularly if I'm changing from one area to another and having to kind of reassure employers that I actually can do the job. And then lastly, the career confidence, which is something I'm seeing a lot of, at the moment, around people feeling like they're maybe not so confident in their day job, whether it's putting the hand up to ask a question or, having a difficult conversation, or just, putting themselves forward for a project. And then finally, my job and career change program, which helps you literally from step one to the end cycle of actually securing that new job. So I did want to give something today. It's a difficult time at the moment, navigating career search and career uncertainty with the current environment. So I will have new dates announced for those workshops next weekend, and the Jobs Expo viewers today can use Jobs Expo 10 to get a little bit off. And then finally, before I jump into approaching career transitions, I did mention it is a difficult time at the moment for candidates. I think with that shift in the market of maybe a lot more people looking for jobs, there is obviously a lot more competition, and I think people, I'm getting the sense, you know, that people are struggling at the moment to get noticed, to actually transition out of an industry that maybe has been affected by COVID, and I wanted to help with that. So actually all through November, through the lockdown, I've been providing free career webinars every Wednesday, so Wednesday webinars, and the last one is this Wednesday. So you're more than welcome to join. It's completely free of charge, and for anyone who wants to hear a little bit more, you can check out my Instagram page, Be Integrative Coach, or you can check out this URL here, beintegrativecoach.ie/free coaching, and I'd love to support you on Wednesday. So on to today's presentation then. So my approach is very much a practical one when it comes to career coaching. So it's really understanding where is the client today, what is their situation, and what do they need to do? What obstacles do they need to remove in order to get to the destination, in order to get to, you know, the outcome that they want? So today we're going to talk about a few very, very practical, simple steps that you can take when it comes to navigating a career transition. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated at all. I know, you know, it's daunting enough and it's time consuming enough trying to navigate, you know, the job search and the transition process. So I really want to leave you with some very key steps that will try and kind of take away a layer of that ambiguity that you're probably experiencing right now as you even think about transitioning jobs to careers. The first thing to say is I get messages every day on my Instagram page from people who have been feeling stuck for a long time in their career, whether it's a couple of months to 15, 16 years, and, you know, to put it bluntly, are miserable and aren't happy in their careers. And we know that can filter into the life, you know, the longer it stays. So I really want to give a clear message today that, you know, you really aren't stuck, despite what it feels like right now as you're dealing with ambiguity and dealing with job dissatisfaction. You're really not stuck. There's so many more options out there than you think. And I suppose today I'm giving a very quick, you know, 20-minute high-level overview of how you can go about that. But the workshops I run, they go into a lot more depth, taking you step by step, hand-holding you through the process. But the one thing it's so important that you leave today with is knowing you're really not stuck. There's more options out there than you think. And also your ability to actually transition is stronger than you think. I know you might be looking at your skill set or your experience at the moment and thinking, well, you know, this doesn't qualify me for the jobs that I'm looking for, or the jobs I have in mind. But actually, you know, when you map out all of your, what I call your career toolkit, you would be surprised actually at how much you do have. We always think about the skill we don't have, or the qualification we don't have, or the piece of experience that we don't have, but actually we forget about what we do have to help us embrace that change and that transition. So don't underestimate your ability to transition. During those free workshops that I spoke about, the free Wednesday webinars, I had a lady say to me, you know, I actually don't have a career. You know, I've been at home raising my kids and I want to go out into the workplace now and I don't have any skills. And when we got talking, it was like, you have so many skills. You negotiate every day, you know, you prioritize, you multitask. You deal with curveballs that come up every day, and they are all skills that employers are looking for. And all it takes really is some good interview prep, some good CV writing to really get that across, so that the employer can very, very, very quickly look at your CV or listen to you at interview and see, oh wow, yes, like this experience or these skills are absolutely transferable. On that note, so I think what I seem to see a lot of the time when people come to my workshops or reach out to me for support, you know, they've had one too many bad days at work and they think, I'm just going to get the CVs out there and apply for everything. And my answer to that is always no. The first step needs to be pausing, reflecting, and planning. And the reason I say that is because if you go to sending out the CV straight away, you're going to apply for everything and anything, or something quite similar to where you're coming from. And what good is that going to do if you actually want to change careers? You'll very quickly find yourself sitting in a very similar seat or a very similar workplace than you've actually put so much effort into transitioning out of. So it's really important that you stop, you pause, you reflect, and you plan. Like I mentioned earlier, that's what the Career Clarity Workshop is all about. It's all about stopping and taking a moment to actually think, well, what do I not want when it comes to a change? We often think about what we do want, but we forget to think about, well, what do we not want? What do we want to leave behind in that workplace, that we want to avoid going forward? So it's really important, if you're listening today and you haven't given this some thought, get the pen and paper out and start jotting down, what do I not want? What do I want to avoid? And you might be thinking, but how can I actually know if I am avoiding that? There's so many little tools and tactics, little tactical actions that you can take during the recruitment process to keep an eye out and to make sure that the employer you're looking at, or the company you're looking to join, or the job you're looking to transition into isn't what you don't want. So yeah, that's very important. And then moving on, then thinking, okay, I've clearly outlined what I don't want. What do I want now? Because actually, maybe when I transitioned into my current job 5 years ago, my life was very different. Maybe it was 10 years ago, maybe it was only 2 years ago, but my life is a little bit different right now. And what I need from my career and what I need from my job right now is different than what I needed before. So it's really important that you take the time to think, what do I actually want? Because if you don't do this step, again, I go back to my earlier point, you're going to start applying for everything. You're spreading your time across a really broad job search instead of a really tactical, strategic job search that is aligned with what you're actually going to accept, what is actually going to serve the purpose for you. Moving on then to, what will actually help you to choose and transition. So to choose the actual job area that you want to go into, the industry, the company, what will help you choose that and what will help you transition. That's really important. And I think if you can really articulate and outline this at first, it's going to take a layer of that. Aoife spoke about imposter syndrome, which is so true. It's going to take a layer of that lack of confidence and that ambiguity away, because you're going to think, okay, I have a plan. It's not going to be easy, but I absolutely have a plan. And I know where I'm going and I know what's going to help me to do that transition. I talk about this in my Career Clarity Workshop, but looking at, well, what skills do I have? I referenced it earlier. Instead of really focusing on what you don't have, what skills do I have? What experience do I have? Not only in today's job, but actually that job I did a couple of years ago as well, my last job. What experience and skills do I have from my life, what experience do I have and skills from my voluntary experience, or from my, my passion projects on the side, or even my hobbies. We forget that we actually, we gather all of these skills and experiences and knowledge on a day-to-day basis that genuinely, with a bit of effort and strategic planning, you can use it to transition into that new job, into that new career. But it's about really identifying it all first. And then, either if you can't do it yourself, getting a good career coach who knows how to do this to help you plan it. Because the more, before you even apply for a job, the more strategic you are with your application and with your story that you're going to bring to the employer, the more success you have of actually getting the job and saving yourself the time of filling out several applications. And don't forget about your connections. Your connections are so important. Most companies have referral programs now that can actually help you get that foot in the door. And of course, employers are going to, they're going to value and respect that, we're not going to refer someone to our current company if we can't stand over them. So have a think about what connections you have, whether it's to get some learning from, whether it's to understand what type of jobs are out there, or what your neighbour does next door. I always say to my clients that we in Ireland, we love a little bit of the chit chat, talking about the weather and talking about the weekend. But actually, if we spend a little bit more time asking people what they do, asking your pals and your cousins and your friends, what do you actually do at work? And you'd never know, they could actually use a skill like Excel, for example, all day long. And that's something that is holding you back from applying for a job because you feel like you're not strong enough in it. So, what's in your toolkit? And then very important, what do you actually want to leverage? Because sometimes people will come to me and they say, but what's in my toolkit, the skills and experience I have, is actually what I want to step away from. And that's a very valid point. And I think it's amazing that people come to that conclusion. So if that is the case, looking at your toolkit and saying, well, actually, what do I want to leverage? What do I want to actually be doing in my next job? Because you could be a genius at Excel, or you could be a genius at, analytical skills, but you're just fed up and you want to kind of move away from that. So let's strategically look at what you want to move away from so that you're not landing in the same job again. And on that note, I think people struggle with kind of getting a feel for what jobs are out there. The market is changing so much. If you're in marketing, there's about, I'd say 50 different types of jobs you can do. So, what jobs are out there that match your needs, your toolkit, and your interests? I'm so glad that our Taoiseach will be speaking next, because I think it's really important that you're also clued into what the market looks like. There's no point trying to transition into a career where there's 3 jobs, across the nation. So it's really important to be clued into the market really, and figuring out, well, what industries are hiring, where are the jobs, and what's upcoming, and looking at job titles. So I always say to people, for example, if you work in sales, you could be a sales executive, you could be a sales manager, you could be an account executive, you could be a relationship manager. There are 100 titles that different companies use for every single job. So don't really get bogged down with titles, but actually looking at different types of jobs, reading the job descriptions, understanding them, and thinking, okay, I now understand what this job, what the requirements are, and what I have to match that, and what I'm interested in. I love the fact that sometimes I think we can stereotype, but I know when it comes to males, they're more likely to actually apply for something, for a job where they don't meet all the requirements. But I think, again, I hate stereotyping, but sometimes as women, we're a little bit less confident with that, and we don't really want to apply for something that we don't tick all the boxes for, because we feel like we won't be a relevant candidate, or we won't be able to do the job. But you absolutely will. I think it's about not overstretching, not applying for something where you don't meet 90% of the requirements, because you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for overwhelm. But having to think to yourself, well, what is the percentage of stretch that I'm willing to go for here, and that I'm happy doing? And that's important, because some people don't want to just move from job to job and stay at the same level. They actually want that stretch. So thinking, what is the stretch I'm willing to go with? And then being confident that you actually have transferable skills or knowledge, or you have the ability to learn for that 20-30% that it is. In terms of, I've covered this, but you don't have to meet all the requirements. In terms of just to spend a little bit of time around helping people understand how they can get job inspiration, how they can find out what jobs are out there. Start listing what you're aware of. Do a little brain dump around, okay, well, these are the different jobs that I am actually aware of, that I know exist out there at the moment. But then actually go online and look at all the different jobs boards. Look on LinkedIn, rather again than just focusing on job titles. Think about what's in your toolkit that I just spoke about. What are those keywords that you've identified? Okay, out of my skills, out of my experience, out of my knowledge and my qualifications, these are the keywords that represent what I want to look for. And then pop those keywords into the different job boards, into Google even, and see, okay, well, which ones are actually interesting to me, and which ones do I feel like I'd like to apply for, Have a little look on LinkedIn as well, and look at other people using those keywords, and see what they're doing, what their career path looks like, and how they've navigated through it. And that might give you a little bit of insight into how you can do so as well. And what's so important is obviously asking people about their career. It's free, and people love to talk about themselves. So I think it's something that you can really leverage. Out of all of this, again, we don't want to go really broad. We want to make sure that actually we're focusing in and focusing our search on what's in alignment with ourselves, and what we're actually going to accept, and what's going to set us up for success. And not lead us to job dissatisfaction. Because I know, within the job search and within the process, if you're getting a lot of no's, it can be very easy just to kind of say, okay, I have to broaden the search now and go with everything. But no, go back and look at, well, why am I getting the no's? What is not clear to the employer? If you do have gaps requirements that you're not filling, that's okay. Just identify what they are and put a plan in place around how you're going to bridge those gaps, you know. And then more importantly, how are you going to help the employer to understand and feel reassured that you can do the job, that you can bridge those gaps. A lot of the time I see this is a massive mistake that people make. They update the CV, but they're not making it clear to the employer how they're actually going to be able to do the job. I'm sure people know at this stage that the employer looks at the CV anywhere from 7 to 30 seconds. That's not a long time. I've probably just said the sentence in 7 seconds. So you really need to very quickly help the employer or the recruiter to see that you are actually in fact relevant and that they should pick up the phone and call you. In terms of reassuring the employer, a few points to consider. So first impressions really do count. Rather than just sending the CV out everywhere, take the time to actually design each CV to match the job that you're applying for once you fully understand the job spec. Don't solely rely on applications. I spoke about this on my Instagram recently, and I said, what are you doing when it comes to applications? Like, I'm just submitting my application. But that's not enough in today's market because, like I said, there's more people looking for jobs. So therefore, there's more competition, and it's a little bit more difficult for you to stand out because actually what you have on paper could be very similar. How you look on paper as a candidate is very similar to a lot of other people. So you need to get really tactical and think, well, how can I actually stand out from the crowd? Own your story with confidence. Interviews, you know, they're never pleasant, let's face it. No one loves them, but I think it's really important that you really prepare for it, because after getting through that process of actually standing out from the crowd, getting an interview, you want to do yourself justice. You want to stand out and own your story with confidence. Really prepare for those answers. Don't leave the employer with any kind of concern or ambiguity around your fit for that job, you know. And how you're going to do that is by believing in yourself and showing that through your storytelling at the interview. Because at the end of the day, if you're not going in there believing yourself, why should the employer take the risk on you if you're not taking the risk on you? And finally, it's so important, you know, we've all been in a job that we're not too happy in. We know how that affects our life. And if you're going to go to the effort of transitioning out of that job into a new job, which takes a lot of time and effort, make sure that the next job you're actually going to accept is in line with what you need. So going back and continuously looking at what I brought you through around what you're not looking for, what you are looking for. That's so important, just to keep the job aligned with what you're actually looking for. In case anyone missed it at the start, I did mention that because it's a difficult time for people to navigate job and career change at the moment. I'm actually running free career webinars every Wednesday through November. So we've had 3 so far. I've been blown away by the response. I've had 700 people sign up so far, which is amazing. So the last one is this Wednesday. You can sign up via my Instagram page, which is the Integrative Coach, or you can go onto this URL here, and I'd really love to help a lot of you through what is a difficult time at the moment navigating job search, particularly with the impact of COVID. And just a reminder, you know, today was a very high level 20-minute blast through, you know, what you can think about when it comes to navigating job and career change and my kind of practical approach. But I do go in depth through a series of workshops: career clarity, career change, career confidence, and then the full job and career change program. I put these paid workshops on hold actually during the month of November so that I could focus on the free career webinars, but I will be coming back to them. So I'll be announcing new dates next weekend for December and January. So if anyone wants a little bit more support and a bit of hand-holding through the process, you're more than welcome to join me for that.